A severely mentally ill youth awakened a god-tier profession, but his classmates mocked him, claiming his life was ruined. This was merely because the profession he awakened was a lifestyle one, a butcher, destined to slaughter pigs his entire life. Little did they know that, in the eyes of the mentally ill youth, they were all just a bunch of grunting pig-headed monsters. Inside Qingcheng City's First People's Hospital, a female doctor wearing rimless glasses sat directly opposite Ye Chuan. Perhaps due to the warm weather, her white lab coat was soaked with sweat, revealing glimpses of the beauty beneath. After reviewing Ye Chuan's medical record, the female doctor frowned, a hint of suspicion in her eyes. "Are you saying that no matter what living creature you see, it looks like a pig? Even I appear as a pig in your eyes?" Ye Chuan nodded. "What a handsome young man." The female doctor unbuttoned her lab coat, opening it wide, and leaned closer to Ye Chuan's face. "What do you see?" "Two pigs." Startled by his reply, the female doctor quickly proceeded to give Ye Chuan a physical examination. Afterward, she wrote in his medical record, "Hardware functions normally, but shows no worldly desires towards mature, attractive women." If women appeared as pigs in his eyes, it would indeed be strange for him to harbor any desire for them. "I know why everything looks like a pig to you." The female doctor sighed, examining the X-rays in her hand. "Your spine has a significant problem." The female doctor picked up the adjacent spinal model. "Your spine is severely deformed, compressing your cranial and optic nerves. This is the main reason why everything looks like a pig to you. The only way to solve this problem is through surgery to correct your spine. However, this surgery carries high risks. If it fails, you could become paralyzed from the neck down." Ye Chuan looked at the pig-headed figure in the white lab coat before him, nodded as if partially understanding, and extended his hand. "Then give me back my spine." The female doctor froze in a daze, then, with a complex expression, wrote "severely abnormal mental state" in his medical record. A moment later, Ye Chuan boarded a bus to school at the hospital entrance. Ever since he could remember, everything looked like a pig to him. While it could be called an illness, it actually had little impact on his daily life. After all, Ye Chuan wasn't like the third brother, he couldn't possibly develop an interest in pigs. He had originally hoped to resolve this condition before the career awakening ceremony began, but it now seemed unlikely. When Ye Chuan returned to Qingcheng High School, a tall, graceful girl approached him. "You're finally here. If you had been late, I would have hit you, you know." Su Lingxian pouted in dissatisfaction, waving her small pink fists as if in a threat. However, in Ye Chuan's eyes, it was merely a pink pig standing up and waving its trotters. At this moment, a chorus of sighs and murmurs arose from the surroundings. "There she is, sticking to her brother Ye Chuan again. Why are you two always showing off your affection? They're childhood sweethearts who grew up together, they'll probably get married and have children right after their class advancement." Hearing the teasing remarks from around them, Su Lingxuan's face flushed even deeper, yet she stood steadfastly by Ye Chuan's side, gazing up at him affectionately, as if he were the very source of her courage. Ye Chuan felt goosebumps rise all over his skin. Anyone being gazed upon lovingly by a pig head would likely react the same way he did. "Silence, everyone! Please line up according to your student IDs. The awakening ceremony is about to begin." The principal's stern voice resonated, as a dark, iridescent crystal, shimmering like a brilliant starry sky, stood prominently in the venue. In this world, there are three primary attributes: strength, agility, and spirit. The higher ones combine three-dimensional attributes, the greater the probability of awakening a high-level profession. Once a combat-oriented profession of advanced or higher rank is attained, it is akin to defying fate and revolutionizing one's power, comparable to passing the imperial examinations in feudal times. The first student, brimming with anticipation, slowly stepped forward. After a moment of silence, the class advancement crystal glowed with a somewhat dim white light. A lifestyle profession, intermediate fitter. Principal Zhao Ming calmly shook his head and announced the student's result. The student slowly slumped to the ground, as if all hope had been drained from them. The second student then walked up, followed by the third, and then the fourth. Over 20 individuals awakened consecutively, all to lifestyle professions. When the 24th individual underwent the awakening, the class advancement altar finally emitted a dazzling yellow light. A flicker of joy immediately appeared in Principal Zhao Ming's eyes. Yellow light. This is a rare-grade profession. Even if it's a lifestyle profession, earning tens of thousands per month after graduation would be effortless. However, when Zhao Ming discerned the type of profession, his surprise intensified. A combat profession, a rare-grade shadowless blade man. What is your name? Zhao Ming inquired kindly, his eyes burning with fervor. A rare-grade combat profession. Barring any unforeseen circumstances, this student will undoubtedly be listed among Qingcheng High School's outstanding alumni in the future. My name is Lu Jingwang. Rest well. Later, I will personally visit your home to discuss your future life plans with your parents. Zhao Ming patted Lu Jingwang's shoulder. Lu Jingwang, too, was overcome with excitement. His destiny had changed. The class transfer ceremony was in full swing, and it was soon Ye Chuan's turn to participate. Brother Ye Chuan. Su Lingxian cheered for Ye Chuan, her face flushed. Ye Chuan took a deep breath and stepped onto the altar. Although he knew he would most likely acquire a lifestyle class, a glimmer of hope still lingered in his heart. While the combined three-dimensional attributes of an average person typically totaled around 3 points, his own combined attributes reached an astonishing 10 points, more than 3 times that of an ordinary individual. Could a miracle happen? The moment Ye Chuan placed his hands on the class transfer crystal, a pillar of blood-red light shot skyward. The crowd below immediately gasped in shock, exchanging bewildered glances and murmuring amongst themselves. Why is it emitting red light? What rank is red light? I only know that legendary classes emit black light, epic classes emit purple light, rare classes emit yellow light, and all others emit white light. Principal Zhao Ming was also so astonished his mouth hung open, thinking, is it truly a divine grade class? My Qingcheng High School has produced a divine grade class. Zhao Ming had served as principal in Qingcheng his entire life and had never even witnessed a legendary class, yet now, on the eve of his retirement, he was presented with a divine grade class. Heaven had truly been kind to him. It seemed he might even receive a promotion before retiring. However, the moment Zhao Ming clearly saw Ye Chuan's class, he was dumbfounded. Lifestyle class, divine grade pig butcher? Zhao Ming gritted his teeth, panting heavily, feeling as though his lungs were about to burst from anger. A divine grade class, and it turns out to be a lifestyle class. A lifestyle class, and a pig butcher at that. Isn't heaven just toying with him? Upon reaching divine grade, even lifestyle classes become priceless treasures. For instance, divine-grade blacksmiths, alchemists, or physicians, once these classes appear, countless combat classes would rush to curry favor with them. But a pig butcher was certainly not among them. What good was a divine-grade pig butcher? They could still only butcher pigs. Who would bother to flatter a pig butcher? It was like encrusting your 1060 graphics card with diamonds. Even if it were covered in precious gems, the performance of a 1060 card still wouldn't surpass a 4090. Zhao Ming sighed. The greater his hope, the more he had anticipated Ye Chuan would achieve something grand, only to discover it was a monumental disappointment. Ye Chuan, however, was not particularly surprised. The son of a Hokage becomes a Hokage, the son of a strategist becomes a strategist, the son of a scapegoat remains a scapegoat, and the son of a pig butcher becomes a pig butcher. This outcome seemed quite reasonable. Ye Chuan began examining his class panel. Bane of Swine, attacks deal an additional 50% damage to pigs, and damage inflicted by pigs upon you is halved. Godslayer's Blade, designate a weapon as your pig-slaying knife. Every pig slain by this knife grants you 0.1 free attribute points. Blood Shadow Butcher, the pig butcher releases an aura of malevolence, forcing pigs into a momentary state of fear. After reviewing his skills and talents, Ye Chuan couldn't help but feel a little surprised. A divine-grade pig butcher is indeed extraordinary, it has actually granted him 2 talents with infinite growth potential. If Bane of Swine and Godslayer's Blade stack, even the most formidable pig would likely fall with a single strike before him. Unfortunately, these effects are only applicable to pigs. Ye Chuan suddenly felt that being mentally ill wasn't so bad, because, to him, the world was full of pigs. He was going to find pigs to slaughter. The young man awakened a god-tier lifestyle profession, pig butcher. Yet, he was abandoned by his school beauty girlfriend, unaware that he suffered from severe mental illness, and in his eyes, everyone in the world was merely a grunting pig-headed monster. Ye Chuan descended from the altar with an unperturbed expression. Instantly, gazes of contempt, ridicule, pity, and schadenfreude intertwined, piercing towards Ye Chuan like a volley of sharp arrows. To awaken a god-tier profession only to be a pig butcher, the disparity between expectation and reality was simply immense. TSK. We thought Qingcheng High School would produce a true dragon, but it turns out he's just a pig butcher. Lu Jingwang clicked his tongue in wonder, his eyes openly revealing his schadenfreude. All that fuss, just for a pig butcher. Qingcheng High School has only one true dragon, and that is you, Lu Jingwang. Seeing Lu Jingwang speak, others quickly echoed his sentiments. You've awakened as a god-tier pig butcher, carrying on the family legacy. Your father will surely be very pleased, and my dad will be happy too. While everyone else reveled in schadenfreude, Su Lingxian tiptoed, reaching out to pat Ye Chuan's head. Ye Chuan calmly nodded. He and Su Lingxian were neighbors, both their parents held lifestyle professions and had intentions of bringing them together. Unfortunately, in Ye Chuan's eyes, Su Lingxian had always been a pig since childhood. Ye Chuan found it truly difficult to convince himself to fall in love with a pig. It's my turn now. Brother Ye Chuan, I wonder if I'll inherit Mom's tailor profession or Dad's winemaker profession. Su Lingxian playfully stuck out her tongue, then walked towards the job transfer altar. The moment Su Lingxian stepped onto the job transfer altar, an anomaly occurred. A dense black pillar of light shot up from the awakening stone, casting countless faces in a dark hue. The previously boisterous sports ground fell silent, countless people gasping with wide-open mouths, staring blankly at the black pillar of light. Until a gasp rang out, shattering the silence of the entire venue. A legendary profession. Someone has awakened a legendary profession. Principal Zhao Ming's mouth hung open in disbelief as he stared intently at the black pillar of light. We just had a god-tier garbage profession, surely we won't get another legendary garbage profession now. Zhao Ming's heart was pounding in his chest. Everyone present was also dumbfounded in shock. First a god tier, now a legendary tier, Qingcheng High School is really making a name for itself this year. All eyes were fixed on the graceful figure within the black pillar of light. Already exceptionally beautiful, Su Lingxian, illuminated by the black pillar of light, gained an ineffable sense of mystery that compelled onlookers to explore. A combat tier profession, the legendary Snow Soul Sword Immortal. Zhao Ming's face flushed crimson with excitement. How long has it been since Qingcheng produced a legendary tier combat profession? Forget legendary, even if an epic tier combat profession appeared, there would be gongs, drums, and firecrackers celebrating. It's Su Lingxian. Aren't both her parents' life skill professions? This is an anomaly. Student Su Lingxian, if you have any needs, please inform Qingcheng High School. Qingcheng High School will do its utmost to fulfill your requests. Thank you, Principal. Su Lingxian offered a polite smile and slowly descended from the profession transfer altar. The gaze of everyone in the school was fixed upon her. At this very moment, she was undeniably the protagonist of heaven and earth. Yet, no one dared to step forward to flatter Su Lingxian. For everyone knew that from this moment on, Su Lingxuan's life and theirs would diverge, like two non-parallel lines, never to intersect again. Ye Chuan clapped, a smile on his face, genuinely happy for Su Lingxian. A complex, indescribable meaning appeared in Su Lingxuan's eyes. I admit there were some misunderstandings between us before, but from now on, those misunderstandings should be resolved. We are no longer people from the same world. Everyone in the audience looked at Ye Chuan, their faces filled with expressions of amusement. He had awakened to the divine tier profession of a pig butcher, yet his childhood sweetheart had awakened to a legendary tier combat profession, and her first act after awakening was to draw a clear line between them. What a dramatic turn of events, indeed. Many who had awakened to life skill professions felt much better after witnessing Ye Chuan's predicament. At least they were still luckier than Ye Chuan. Ye Chuan nodded calmly. However, in the eyes of the onlookers and Su Lingxian, Ye Chuan was merely feigning composure after being devastated. I know this blow is significant for you, but you are just a pig butcher, ultimately, you cannot achieve greatness. Su Lingxian felt a pang of discomfort, and a hint of apology entered her gaze as she looked at Ye Chuan. If you have no objections, then it is decided. I hope you won't pester me. Regarding my parents, I will explain things clearly to them. Su Lingxian averted her gaze from Ye Chuan. In her view, they would have no further interactions, so it was best to draw a clear line early to prevent Ye Chuan from holding on to any false hopes. Ye Chuan was somewhat speechless. A pig was chattering incessantly in front of him, telling him not to pester her. Ye Chuan found it odd no matter how he looked at it, so he turned and left without looking back, secretly relieved to finally be rid of this pig head. Student Lingxian, do you need me to teach him a lesson and make him face reality? Lu Jingwang gazed at Su Lingxian with fervent eyes. If he could win her over, with one of them having a rare combat profession and the other a legendary one, wouldn't their lives become truly prosperous? Seeing that Su Lingxian had no intention of acknowledging him, Lu Jingwang, feeling rejected, turned his attention to Ye Chuan. Observing Ye Chuan completely ignore him, Lu Jingwang narrowed his eyes, a dangerous glint appearing within them. A mere butcher dared to disregard his words. He was already displeased that Ye Chuan had just stolen his thunder, and this further fueled his rising anger. I am speaking to you. Can you not hear me? A hint of coldness entered Lu Jingwang's voice. Ye Chuan calmly looked up at the pig-headed figure before him, yet this single glance sent a terrifying chill through Lu Jingwang's entire body. He felt as if he had been targeted by a natural predator, his body involuntarily retreating several steps before he stumbled and fell to the ground. That gaze made him feel like a pig bound to a chopping block, awaiting slaughter. Lu Jingwang's face flushed crimson, his composure instantly shattered as his anger flared. He had actually been so intimidated by a butcher that he fell to the ground. How dare a useless person like you glare at me? You are merely a butcher, who do you think you are? Overwhelmed by rage, Lu Jingwang directly attacked, throwing a forceful punch towards Ye Chuan's face. This punch was powerful and heavy, with Lu Jingwang showing no restraint whatsoever. Ye Chuan, however, remained completely unperturbed. Without dodging or evading, he responded with an equally powerful punch. With his already exceedingly high three-dimensional attributes, why would he fear Lu Jingwang? Boosted by the Pig Clan Bane ability, Ye Chuan's punch gained an additional enhancement. Conversely, Lu Jingwang's punch was weakened by half. As their fists collided, a distinct crack was heard, and the ferocity on Lu Jingwang's face turned into blank astonishment, as if he had utterly failed to anticipate this outcome. Lu Jingwang let out a cry of agony and staggered backward, his fist grotesquely twisted at an unnatural angle, clearly fractured. You are clearly just a butcher. Lu Jingwang's face was filled with an expression of utter disbelief. Cold sweat continuously beaded on his forehead. While lifestyle professions could indeed enhance strength and cultivation, their skills and talents offered no combat augmentation compared to combat professions. At the same level, 10 lifestyle professionals combined would not be a match for a single combat professional. As a butcher, isn't it perfectly reasonable for me to have strong hands? Ye Chuan remarked, his expression as calm as ever. A young man awakens to a divine-tier lifestyle profession, butcher, only to be cruelly abandoned by his campus belle girlfriend. Little did she know, the youth suffered from a severe mental illness, viewing everyone in the world as nothing more than grunting, pig-headed monsters. As a butcher, isn't it perfectly reasonable for me to have strong hands? If you cannot even defeat a useless person, then what does that make you? Lu Jingwang was filled with both urgency and fury, clearly astonished that he had been injured by Ye Chuan in a single blow, finding himself unable to win a fistfight against a mere butcher. The surrounding crowd was also utterly astonished. Incredible, there seems to be something truly unusual about this butcher. I'm taking your life. The force of the blade erupted, and a chilling, ethereal long saber materialized in Lu Jingwang's hand. Its sharp, frigid gleam pricked at the skin, a clear sign that Lu Jingwang was unleashing a skill from his shadowless bladesman class. Ye Chuan's gaze also became a few shades more serious. A pig that could wield a blade certainly warranted some attention. A pig that can wield a blade is, in the end, still just a pig. Brother Jingwang is serious now. A rare grade combat class is truly terrifying. Now Ye Chuan is in for some serious trouble. They wondered why a mere butcher had to challenge a combat class. Couldn't he just honestly admit his mistake? The illusory long saber summoned by Brother Jingwang was terrifying. It could probably cleave straight through even a steel pipe, couldn't it? Many people discussed animatedly, their eyes filled with shock. This was the first time they had witnessed the power of a rare-grade combat class firsthand. But before he could act, snowflakes began to drift down everywhere. These flakes, like bone-chilling cold, adhered to Lu Jinglong's body, and soon he was completely unable to move. Moreover, Lu Jinglong distinctly felt that he had been locked down by an extremely formidable sword intent. "Why are you still helping him? Let him go." Su Lingxian spoke coldly. Lu Jinglong's face flickered with changing emotions. "Today, I will give you this respect, Su Lingxian." Then he glared fiercely at Ye Chuan, his eyes filled with venomous malice. Clearly, he harbored murderous intent. "You see, don't you? We truly no longer belong to the same world. This is the last time I will intervene to help you, consider it a proper farewell to the past." A hint of arrogance colored Su Lingxuan's gaze as she looked at Ye Chuan. Only after experiencing the sensation of power did she more clearly perceive the immense gap in strength between Ye Chuan and herself. Lu Jinglong, whom Ye Chuan found difficult to defeat, was nothing more than a mere chicken and dog before Su Lingxian. She and Ye Chuan could no longer even be considered beings of the same dimension. "You should leave, and it would be best to find a way to depart Qingcheng. Otherwise, if Lu Jinglong seeks revenge next time, I will not intervene again." The moment her words fell, Su Lingxian turned and left without looking back. On his way home, just as Ye Chuan turned a street corner, a series of woof 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 barks rang out. An unleashed small gray fleece dog continuously barked wildly at Ye Chuan, blocking his path. The dog's barking made Ye Chuan's ears ache slightly. An elderly woman with permed instant noodle hair and fully lined eyes stood nearby, gazing at the dog with a face full of affection. She was clearly the dog's owner. "Could you please pull your dog away?" Ye Chuan spoke politely. "Is this road your property? You're meddling too much." The old woman rolled her eyes at Ye Chuan. "You're a pig. The dog is blocking my way." In Ye Chuan's eyes, what stood before him were two pigs. "You are such a grown person, why are you arguing with a dog? What does a dog know? It won't bite anyone. Do you have no manners?" Young people nowadays truly lack any compassion. Seeing that Ye Chuan dared to retort, the old woman immediately lost her temper, placing her hands on her hips and began scolding him. Ye Chuan was instantly enraged, and directly delivered a flying kick to the black dog. The butcher Ye Chuan slaughtered a small pig, his level increased by 0.1%, and the extra damage from Bane of Pigs increased by 1%. As expected, Ye Chuan couldn't help but feel a surge of excitement in his heart. His mental illness, at this moment, had ironically become his greatest advantage. Because he perceived everything as pigs, his divine butcher's professional talent could apply to all living beings, even dogs. At this moment, the old woman finally recovered from her shock. "How dare you kill my son? You are bullying an old woman. I'll fight you to the death." Ye Chuan calmly and unhurriedly pulled out his medical record. "I am mentally ill." The old woman was stunned. Old people might be tier 0 in this version, but mentally ill individuals are beyond the 6 realms and outside the 5 elements. In simple terms, they cannot be targeted. Let alone Ye Chuan killing her dog, even if he had an episode and slaughtered her too, her death would be in vain. "Is there anything else? If not, I'll be leaving now." Ye Chuan calmly put away his medical record, turned gracefully, and departed. The old woman, usually arrogant and domineering, now dared not even attempt to stop him. The old woman might be unreasonable and prone to throwing tantrums, but she was not foolish. Who would casually provoke a mentally ill person? "I'm home." Ye Chuan pushed open the door to his home. The aroma of rich pork bone soup wafted through the air. This scent was very familiar to Ye Chuan. Having a butcher in the family meant the greatest advantage was an endless supply of pork and pork bones every day. "Our son is back." A middle-aged man resembling Ye Chuan, embracing a petite woman, jointly welcomed him. These three were Ye Chuan's parents, Ye Chuan and Wu Jingzhu. Apparently aware of everything that had transpired at school, they were not only there to welcome Ye Chuan but also to console him, reminding him that there were plenty of other fish in the sea. "I don't want to go to school anymore." How about I come with you to the slaughterhouse tomorrow to butcher pigs? Of course. A son following in his father's footsteps, nothing could be better. With your father by your side, you are sure to become the most renowned pig butcher in the human race, making all the pigs in the world tremble at the mere mention of your name. Ye Chuan was overjoyed. Surpassing the master, a divine-level pig butcher, his son's butchering skills would undoubtedly exceed his own in the future. Each pig butchered would grant a 1% increase in additional damage, and finding a suitable pig butchering knife could further enhance his attribute points. After just a few days of butchering at the slaughterhouse, his strength would undoubtedly undergo a world-shattering transformation. Filled with anticipation for the future, Ye Chuan drifted off to sleep. Meanwhile, both inside and outside Ye Chuan's marital bedroom, a shadowy figure had appeared at some unknown point. My son is merely an ordinary pig butcher, please stop bothering us. Our family simply wishes to live a peaceful life from now on. Ye Chuan spoke in a deep voice. Can a divine-level pig butcher truly be considered ordinary? The figure's voice was exceedingly hoarse, as if there were sand lodged in its throat. What does it matter if a pig butcher, even a divine-level one, is still just someone who butchers pigs? I truly didn't expect Ghost Cry's son to actually be a pig butcher. Is this child truly yours? Perhaps you should verify if he is your biological son. The figure chuckled mockingly. The faint murderous aura emanating from Ye Chuan suddenly intensified immensely. I was just joking with you. Since your son is indeed merely a pig butcher, the organization will naturally no longer trouble you. The shadowy figure let out an eerie chuckle. Gradually, it merged with the darkness and vanished. The next morning, Ye Chuan rose early, eagerly awaiting his father to take him to the slaughterhouse. However, strangely, his father, who usually rose at dawn to butcher pigs. After a quick wash, he followed his father to the slaughterhouse where he had worked for years. Why are you so late today? Isn't this your son, Ye Chuan? I've brought this lad to inherit my craft. My son, a divine-level pig butcher. Ye Chuan's face was filled with pride. Upon hearing this, the co-workers in the slaughterhouse were all stunned. For ordinary people like them, a god-tier profession was already an unattainable existence. Ye Chuan thoroughly enjoyed these gazes. He led Ye Chuan to his workstation. Pick a suitable knife and give it a try. Ye Chuan said with a cheerful chuckle, pointing to the knife rack. Ye Chuan nodded. From the iron rack, he selected a slender boning knife. It felt exceptionally heavy in his hand. Exclusive pig-slaying knife selected. God-slaying blade activated. Every pig killed by this pig-slaying knife will provide you with 0.1 free attribute points. As a pig butcher, he vigorously swung his arms, hoisting a plump black pig onto a hook. First, locate its artery, aim for the weak point, and deliver a single fatal blow. The young man never imagined that merely slaughtering a goblin tribe would yield such unexpected gains. Relying on his formidable strength attribute, Ye Chuan brought the knife down with a powerful chop. The pig, suspended from the iron hook, let out a piercing shriek that almost startled the entire slaughterhouse. Bright red pig's blood splattered everywhere as the pig struggled. Ye Chuan was greatly startled. Seeing this, Ye Chuan couldn't help but chuckle. He stepped forward and delivered 2 more cuts. Foul-smelling pig's blood splattered all over him, but fortunately, the pig finally stopped struggling. Not bad, you've grasped about 70 to 80% of the posture, but you haven't quite mastered the essence. Ye Chuan extended his hand and measured down a few times from the pig's head. This is the pig's vital point, just one cut here can swiftly end a pig's life. As long as your knife is fast and precise enough, you can instantly render the pig incapable of any resistance. Ye Chuan brought another large, fat pig. Under his guidance, Ye Chuan's pig-slaying techniques grew increasingly proficient. The system's notification sound rang out continuously. Slaughtering a large, fat pig, level increased by 1%, extra damage from pig bane increased by 1%, 0.1 free attribute points added. Slaughtering a large, fat pig, level increased by 1%, extra damage from pig bane increased by 1%, 0.1 free attribute points added. Time, much like an aging elder, vanished in the blink of an eye. He was like a thirsty sponge, constantly absorbing the knowledge of pig slaughtering from Ye Chuan. As he slaughtered more and more pigs, Ye Chuan's skills became increasingly proficient. When the pigs were not paying attention, he could almost always deliver a perfect one-strike throat slit. "You've done very well. Achieving this level on the first day has already exceeded my expectations." Ye Chuan nodded with satisfaction. Ye Chuan glanced at the slaughterhouse with a hint of reluctance. By the end of the day, he had slaughtered a total of 49 pigs. The additional damage amplification from swine bane had now reached 100%. His three-dimensional attributes also increased from 10 to 15. If his hands weren't already too tired to lift, he genuinely would have wanted to stay and continue slaughtering. For some reason, it felt as if no matter how many pigs he slaughtered, he would never tire of it. Ye Chuan was confident that even a combat professional would not be his match at this moment. Perhaps, it was time to leave the slaughterhouse for a while. A sharp glint flashed in Ye Chuan's eyes. While slaughtering pigs in the slaughterhouse was safe for improving his strength, the efficiency was simply too low. He had to ensure the pig's integrity, deb one and carve the meat, and most importantly, avoid damaging organs or the brain. However, if he were to treat other creatures like pigs and slaughter them, he would only need to kill them. There would be no need to worry about carcass disposal. Early the next morning, Ye Chuan set off with a backpack containing a pig slaughtering knife and some food and drink. In this world, myriad races thrived, and demons ran rampant. Humanity no longer had national divisions, forming a human federation. It was divided into 9 special districts. Qingqing's location was on the frontier of the 5th special district. Once outside the sphere of human influence, one would face dangers from the myriad races. Many of these races preyed on humans. However, for combat professionals, the wilderness was precisely the fastest place to hone themselves and improve their strength. One could not become a top-tier expert by practicing in isolation. Before leaving the city, Ye Chuan was stopped by staff members who kindly cautioned him about the precautions for operating near Qingcheng. "You are a lifestyle professional, you can only operate within a 1-kilometer radius outside the city, otherwise your life will be in danger. Do you understand?" The staff member reminded him. Ye Chuan nodded obediently and turned to leave the city. He proceeded directly in the opposite direction from the city gate. The staff had already stated that there would be no life-threatening dangers within a 1-kilometer radius. This indicated that all fierce beasts and demons in the vicinity must have been cleared out. And indeed, it was so. Ye Chuan encountered no dangers whatsoever. As he ventured deeper into the wilderness, the surroundings grew increasingly quiet. Only the whistling of the wind could be heard. He vaguely sensed that he was being watched. A rustling sound emerged from the bushes. A humanoid creature, approximately 1 meter tall, leaped out from the thicket. In its hand, it clutched a sharp dagger as long as an arm bone. With a roar, it lunged towards Ye Chuan. Gazing at the entirely green, pig-like creature before him, Ye Chuan immediately recognized its species. Without a moment's hesitation, he activated his blood shadow butcher skill. A surge of malevolent aura swept forth, plunging the goblin before him into a state of fear. Ye Chuan drew his pig-slaying knife and cleaved downwards directly at its back. The goblin was instantly split in 2 by Ye Chuan's single strike. Under the 300% bonus damage from Bane of Swine, this goblin had no capacity to resist whatsoever. Butcher Ye Chuan used his pig-slaying knife to dispatch a goblin pig. The Bane of Swine bonus damage increased by 1%, and he gained 0.1 free attribute points. It seemed that the stronger the pig he slew, the greater the enhancement to his cultivation. Slaying an ordinary fat pig would only increase his level by 1%, however, dispatching a goblin allowed his level to rise directly by 5%. His speed in slaying goblins was comparable to that of slaying pigs, yet the power increase from killing goblins was clearly more rapid than from killing pigs. His school teachers had explained clearly in class that goblins were treacherous, wicked creatures, extremely cohesive, and never acted alone. Whenever a goblin deliberately emerged to distract you, it often signified that other goblins had already encircled you, preparing for the hunt. The death of their companion did not instill fear in the other goblins, instead, it ignited the savage instincts within them. Wielding their weapons, the goblins charged at Ye Chuan, their faces contorted with ferocious malice. If Ye Chuan were to fall into their hands, he would undoubtedly be devoured as food. Ye Chuan tightened his grip on the heavy pig-slaying knife, a benevolent smile gracing his face, and then commenced a slaughter. With the bane of swine granting a staggering 300% bonus damage, combined with the pig-slaying techniques Ye Chuan had learned from his father, Ye Chuan, his speed in dispatching goblins was astonishingly fast. With almost every swing of his blade, a goblin met its end. Ye Chuan did not wipe them all out, instead, he left one timid goblin, filled with terror and despair. Upon seeing its companions perish, it turned and fled without hesitation. Ye Chuan followed this goblin from a distance. Goblins exist in tribal units. By following a single goblin, one could locate its tribe. His objective was to eradicate the entire tribe. The goblin did not disappoint Ye Chuan, quickly fleeing into a dark mountain cave and scrambling inside. Ye Chuan followed without hesitation. In the darkness, pairs of crimson, bloodthirsty eyes glowed, and low growls could even be heard. Confronted by a cave full of goblins, Ye Chuan showed no fear. Instead, he charged forward, wielding his pig-slaughtering knife. Goblins are creatures at the bottom of the food chain. Had their reproductive capabilities not been even more astonishing than those of humans, goblins would have long since gone extinct. An hour later, the cave was devoid of goblins, leaving only a floor strewn with corpses. Many of these bodies were remarkably intact, save for a single fatal cut to the throat. Ye Chuan continued deeper into the cave. A nauseating stench emanated from the depths of the cave. He kicked open the wooden door blocking his way. Ye Chuan first discovered the goblin's breeding area, where injured females lay lifelessly on the ground, or were hung on wooden racks, already treated as food. Then, a frightened whimper roused Ye Chuan. In a corner lay a human female, clothed, and the only other human present. Though she was dirty and ragged, she did not appear to have been ravaged by goblins. Several small goblins still surrounded her within the cave, biting her and leaving behind foul-smelling, repulsive saliva. The distraught woman composed herself, and upon realizing that a human stood before her, immediately burst into tears. Without a word, Ye Chuan walked over, raised his pig-slaughtering knife with an expressionless face. The young woman closed her eyes in terror, her continuous tears and shaking head indicated her unwillingness to die. The sharp whistling of air and the sound of a keen blade tearing through flesh grew louder in her ears. "Stop crying, the goblins are all dead." Seeing that the woman still retained her consciousness, Ye Chuan finally lowered his blade. The distraught woman composed herself, and upon realizing that a human stood before her, she instantly hugged Ye Chuan and burst into tears. "I was almost ruined by these goblins. Miss, could you let go? I didn't come here to save you." Ye Chuan's face suddenly grew pale, evidently startled by the sudden proximity of her distressed face. Seeing the goblin tribe completely annihilated, Ye Chuan composed himself and returned the way he came. "My name is Shunned. You're so amazing. Are you also a combat class professional? Did you kill all the goblins in the cave? Head in that direction, the city gate is over there." Ye Chuan gestured towards the city gate. Xianan had clearly been terrified by the recent group of goblins. She couldn't imagine what fate would have awaited her had Ye Chuan not coincidentally burst in. She followed closely behind Ye Chuan. A half-day of relentless slaughter successfully elevated Ye Chuan's level once more, reaching apprentice rank 6. The only minor drawback was that his pig-slaughtering knife had become somewhat blunted. As it was merely an ordinary pig-slaughtering knife, it was quite normal for its edge to dull when clashing against the goblin's weapons. Having tasted success, Ye Chuan gathered his belongings, ready to continue his hunt for pigs. However, after taking a couple of steps, he realized that Xianan had been trailing behind him the entire time. Ye Chuan, somewhat impatiently, drew his pig-slaughtering knife, a glint of cold light appearing. "Why are you following me? Don't tell me you're a spy sent by the goblins?" Xianan's face instantly turned pale with fright, and she hastily waved her hands to indicate she was not. "I just don't dare to go back alone. How about we make a deal? My mother's birthday is in a few days, and I wanted to find a blood moon flower as a gift for her, which is why I secretly snuck out. If you help me find the blood moon flower and then safely escort me back to Qingcheng, I'll help you find the best artificer in Qingcheng to forge a brand new pig-slaughtering blade for you." "The best artificer in Qingcheng forging a blade? Do you know how much that costs? How dare you speak such audacious words? Stop following me, or I'll chop you. Xiananan's expression stiffened. For the first time, she doubted her own appearance, as Ye Chuan's gaze upon her had been like looking at a piece of pork. Was she really that ugly? Given Ye Chuan's previous tendency to brandish his knife at the slightest provocation, Xianan dared not ask further and could only silently trail behind him. Don't chop me yet. I'm Xia Beihai's daughter. Xia Beihai of the Xia family in Qingcheng? Ye Chuan's heart skipped a beat. The Xia family was an incredibly formidable presence in Qingcheng. The phrase one Shang, one Xia, two alliances represented Qingcheng's four top powers, and one Xia referred to none other than the Xia family. Furthermore, Xia Beihai, the head of the Xia family, was a rank 9 master-level transcender, only a single step away from the Grandmaster realm. Xianan nodded. Please help me. I won't let you work for nothing, you can name any reward you desire. A smile instantly spread across Ye Chuan's face. This was truly like a pillow appearing when one was sleepy. After all, his parents were just ordinary people and couldn't help him much. If what the young girl said was true, with her father's financial power, forging 10 top-tier pig slaughtering knives would be no problem at all. Miss Xia, you've misunderstood. You are so beautiful, and I, Ye Chuan, happen to be a person who cherishes beauty. How could I bear to chop you? I merely wanted to show you if my knife was nice. Rest assured, Miss Xia, from this moment on, your concerns are my concerns. What do you need me to do for you? Looking at Ye Chuan's smiling face, Xianan couldn't shake off a chilling feeling. However, recalling that this individual had single-handedly annihilated a goblin tribe, Xianan still held some confidence in Ye Chuan's strength. Ye Chuan looked at Xianan with a perplexed expression. You can't even defeat goblins, yet you dare to seek out a blood moon giant python, which is comparable to a 9th-tier apprentice. I can defeat them. Xianan retorted anxiously. When I came out, I carried a protective artifact given to me by my father. Even a transcendent realm professional wouldn't be my match. But those goblins were too insidious. I was ambushed by them, that's why I was captured. Xianan's voice trailed off as she spoke, seemingly realizing how embarrassing her situation was. A protective artifact capable of repelling a transcendent realm professional, yet she was captured by a group of goblins. This was akin to Liu Bei, Guan Yu, and Zhang Fei teaming up to challenge Lu Bu, only to be captured alive by Xing Daorong midway. Ye Chuan leaned in closer, his gaze fixed on the token in the young woman's hand, unable to comprehend why such a small token possessed such formidable power. But once this is done, I want you to find the best artifact refiner in Qingcheng to forge a new blade for me. Xianan readily agreed. Both she and Ye Chuan smiled brightly, each feeling they had made a profitable deal. Xianan produced a map from an unknown place and slowly unfurled it. I bought this from someone. It marks the location where the Blood Moon Giant Python appears. As long as we find the Blood Moon Giant Python, we will surely find the Blood Moon Flower. Xianan pointed to a spot on the map as she spoke. The Blood Moon Flower is a rare and precious natural treasure. Wherever it grows, a Blood Moon Giant Python will guard it. However, the Blood Moon Flower has no effect on increasing one's strength. Its purpose is to delay the aging of one's appearance, which is why few people seek it out. After all, the strength of an adult Blood Moon Giant Python is comparable to that of a 9th-tier apprentice human professional. What are we waiting for then? Ye Chuan asked, grabbing his butcher knife and setting off. He had never seen a giant python in all his life. For some reason, Xianan felt that the man before her was both incredibly reliable and utterly unreliable. Following the map provided by Xianan, they soon encountered a fierce beast. A silverhorn rhino was quietly grazing nearby, its thick silver armor gleaming with a metallic luster under the sunlight. The silverhorn rhino is a herbivore, its aggressiveness isn't strong, so let's not provoke it. Xianan hadn't even finished speaking. If it dares to eat grass today, it'll dare to eat people tomorrow. We can't let it live. Xianan was horrified and quickly tried to dissuade him. The silverhorn rhino has high attack and defense capabilities, comparable to a 7th-tier apprentice. Don't go looking for trouble. The moment Xianan's words fell, Ye Chuan's blade struck, leaving a bloody line across the massive silverhorn rhino's neck, and it crashed to the ground with a thud. Xianan was stunned. Killed a silverhorn rhinoceros with one strike? Had she not witnessed it herself, she would never have dared to imagine the scene before her eyes. It was well known that the silver-horned rhinoceros possessed formidable defense. Its thick, heavy silver armor was practically impenetrable. Yet, before Ye Chuan, this silver-horned rhinoceros couldn't even withstand a single strike. Ye Chuan mounted the silver-horned rhinoceros and skillfully chopped off the long horn from its head. This item was excellent material for artifact refining, and could fetch a good price if sold. I wonder how much longer this pig-slaughtering knife can last. Ye Chuan couldn't help but frown as he looked at the blade full of nicks. His level had also successfully reached apprentice level 7, and the bane of pigkind extra damage was boosted to 122%. What exactly is your profession? Xia Nan couldn't resist asking the question that lingered in her heart. I'm just a pig butcher, Ye Chuan replied calmly, his heart undisturbed. You are only at the 6th tier apprentice realm. Yet you can easily defeat enemies beyond your rank. You must be at least an epic grade combat profession. Although Xia Nan was not deeply experienced in the world, she came from a prominent family and possessed basic discernment. Perhaps this rhinoceros was too old, and its strength had deteriorated. Seeing that Ye Chuan had no intention of clarifying, Xia Nan also stopped herself from asking further, understanding that it concerned personal secrets. He refused to say. Most importantly, Xia Nan felt that Ye Chuan was not lying, as if he truly was just a pig butcher. Meanwhile, on the other side of the dense forest, Principal Zhao Ming was leading the school's most talented individuals, hunting alien creatures within the forest to enhance their strength. The students performed well this time. They truly are the promising students I've been cultivating. If they are nurtured properly, my position as principal might even rise by 2 ranks. Stop hiding and sneaking around, or don't blame me for showing no mercy. Zhao Ming shouted loudly, ready to act at any moment. Ye Chuan and Xia Nan reluctantly stepped out. They had hoped to avoid them, but unexpectedly, they were discovered. What are you doing here? Just passing by coincidentally. Do you even believe that yourself? You still can't let go of Sister Lingxuan, so you've chased her out into the wilderness like a persistent annoyance, haven't you? A slightly plump girl behind Su Lingxian sneered, breaking up and still stalking and harassing her. Having an ex-boyfriend like you is like having a criminal record. If you don't have a mirror, do you at least have some piss? Sister Lingxian is a legendary combat professional. What right do you, a mere pig butcher, have to keep pestering her? Hearing the words of the crowd, a hint of impatience also appeared in Su Lingxuan's gaze towards Ye Chuan. I believe I made myself quite clear last time, so why do you continue to pester me? It's impossible for us. We have long since belonged to 2 different worlds. Ye Chuan's enhanced strength also improved his eyesight, though this brought its own troubles. He could now see the pig's head with greater clarity, and an uncontrollable sense of nausea welled up within him. Lu Jinglong, with a sinister grin, emerged, saying, You dare to show your face before me again? I was worried I wouldn't find you if you kept hiding. A long saber materialized in Lu Jinglong's hand, and the moment it was drawn from its sheath, it gleamed with a terrifying cold light. Brother Jinglong's saber, surely that counts as a true spirit weapon, doesn't it? My uncle is an artifact forger. I've seen spirit weapons, and that saber has already reached the low-grade yellow tier. Spirit weapons and ordinary armaments are as different as heaven and earth. Brother Jinglong is now a 4th-rank apprentice, and with that spirit weapon, he could probably contend with a 6th-rank apprentice, couldn't he? Everyone's expression grew solemn. These are weapons specially forged by artifact forgers, generally categorized into the heaven, earth, profound, and yellow tiers. I warned you to leave Qingcheng. This time, I will not intervene to help you again. Upon seeing this, Su Lingxian shook her head. Despite her firm refusal last time, Ye Chuan still followed her to the wilderness like a persistent annoyance. If she were to help him again this time, wouldn't he further misunderstand that she still harbored feelings for him? A low-grade yellow-tier spirit weapon, that must be quite valuable, right? Ye Chuan asked Xia Nan, who was beside him. It could fetch several 100,000, but his saber is of average quality. What kind of time is this for such thoughts? Can't you understand the situation? Xia Nan couldn't help but feel a touch of anxiety. Ye Chuan nodded with satisfaction. His father worked himself to the bone slaughtering pigs at the abattoir, yet he couldn't earn several 100,000 in a year. Seeing that Ye Chuan had already regarded his spirit weapon as his own, Lu Jinglong's temper flared instantly. "You lowly pig butcher, what are you trying to pretend to be?" Lu Jinglong rushed forward, brandishing his saber, and struck a downward blow towards Ye Chuan. Swift as a gale, Ye Chuan raised his pig-slaughtering knife to parry, and with a clang of metal, sparks flew. Ye Chuan's pig-slaughtering knife was unexpectedly chopped directly into two pieces. After rotating in the air for a moment, half of the blade directly embedded itself into the ground. In contrast, Lu Jinglong's saber remained incredibly sharp, without even the slightest nick. Compared to a spirit weapon, an ordinary blade was as fragile as paper. "Your pig-slaughtering knife is broken, you won't even be able to butcher pigs anymore." Lu Jinglong burst into unrestrained laughter, the long-suppressed resentment in his heart finally completely unleashed. Unexpectedly, Ye Chuan directly tossed aside the broken half of the butchering blade he was holding. He could manage even without a knife. Lu Jinglong, once again enraged, lashed out, leaping high into the air and forcefully swinging the long blade he clutched in his hand. It was at this very moment that his speed reached its peak. He clenched his fist, powered through his calf, and delivered a punch squarely to Lu Jinglong's chest. A grating sound of bones cracking echoed, and Lu Jinglong's entire body was sent flying backward by Ye Chuan's punch, like a kite with a broken string. His chest was caved in at a grotesque angle, indicating that his ribs were clearly broken. This sight left everyone stunned in their tracks. Lu Jinglong skidded across the ground face first, traveling over 10 meters before finally coming to a halt, his body undoubtedly having suffered countless shattered bones. Zhao Ming looked at Ye Chuan, his face filled with astonishment. "You are already a 7th-rank apprentice." Ye Chuan never imagined that a mere accidental encounter with his first love would lead to her disdain and the humiliation from her sycophant. As someone suffering from a severe mental illness, Ye Chuan did not tolerate it. He sent the sycophant flying with a single punch, seizing his yellow-rank spirit weapon, and departed without a backward glance. These words, once uttered, caused an expression of disbelief to appear in the eyes of everyone at Qingcheng High School, including even Su Lingxian. Under Qingcheng High School's full-hearted cultivation, she had only just reached the 6th-rank apprentice stage. How could Ye Chuan possibly advance faster than her? Ye Chuan stepped forward and picked up Lu Jinglong's blade. Although it wasn't a butchering knife, it was at least a spirit weapon, and certainly better than his original ordinary blade. He carefully examined the long blade. At the very bottom of the blade, the characters Qing Feng were inscribed. It seems that during this period, you must have been butchering pigs whenever you weren't eating or sleeping, which explains the rapid advancement of your cultivation. But Ye Chuan, this is futile. A butcher is merely a life skill profession. Zhao Ming sighed and began to explain to the students of Qingcheng High School. Although the cultivation realms for life skill professions and combat professions are categorized similarly, their methods of advancement are entirely distinct. Combat professions require diligent practice, comprehending fighting techniques, accumulating combat experience, or utilizing resources such as elixirs and rare treasures to advance their realms. Life skill professions, however, are different. Taking a butcher as an example, Ye Chuan's cultivation can continuously improve simply by butchering pigs. The same applies to blacksmiths, alchemists, and similar professions. They do not need to engage in combat. As a divine-rank butcher, if Ye Chuan were to single-mindedly focus on butchering pigs during his apprentice stage, disregarding everything else, his cultivation would indeed advance very rapidly. However, once he reaches the Hall Entry realm, or even the Master realm, the number of pigs Ye Chuan would need to butcher to advance a single rank would become an astronomical figure. For him, as a butcher, further advancement would become incredibly difficult. Combat professions, on the other hand, can continue to improve their strength simply by continuing to cultivate. It is merely a matter of speed. They will never face the trouble of being unable to advance. After hearing Zhao Ming's explanation, everyone suddenly understood. In other words, although Ye Chuan can easily defeat Brother Jinglong now, in a few years, he will be easily beaten by Brother Jinglong. Zhao Ming nodded, indicating that this was indeed the case. Su Lingxian frowned as she looked at Ye Chuan, shaking her head with a hint of helplessness. "Why put yourself through such trouble? To tell you the truth, I have already been recommended for admission to Tianjai Academy. In a few days, a teacher from Tianjai Academy will come to pick me up. We are already people from 2 different worlds. Upon hearing this name, everyone gasped. This was the top academy in the Human Federation's 5th Special Zone. It was said that even the security guards at Tianjai Academy's entrance were powerful Grandmaster Realm experts, and those in the Master Realm didn't even qualify to guard its gates. The job changers trained at this academy were all important figures capable of guarding a region. Ye Chuan ignored her, but Xia Nan, standing nearby, was not pleased. When had Miss Xia ever suffered a loss? With her hands on her hips, she stepped forward and asserted, "Are you people ever going to stop? Ye Chuan is accompanying me to find the blood moon flower. It's purely bad luck that we ran into you. What are you all fabricating?" Seeing that Xia Nan dared to retort, those who wished to curry favor with Su Lingxian immediately turned their attention and attacks towards Xia Nan. A crisp slapping sound rang out. Before these people could finish speaking, Xia Nan stepped forward and slapped each of them, not even sparing Principal Zhao Ming. These individuals were instantly enraged. As combat class professionals, they immediately prepared to retaliate. "Try to touch me," she challenged. "My father is Xia Beihai," Xia Nan declared coldly, pulling out a token. Zhao Ming immediately interjected to stop them, then scrutinized Xia Nan carefully. Earlier, Xia Nan had been rather disheveled, so he hadn't considered her identity. Only upon closer inspection did he realize that this girl was indeed Xia Beihai's daughter. "How did you come to be here?" Zhao Ming's tone softened considerably. It was as if he were coaxing a child. "I can go wherever I want," Xia Nan retorted, casting a cold glance at Zhao Ming. "The caliber of your school's students is truly concerning. It's my oversight. I will certainly discipline them properly when I return," Zhao Ming said with a placating smile. "Make them apologize to Ye Chuan," Xia Nan demanded, pointing at Su Lingxian. Although Su Lingxian was very reluctant, since Zhao Ming had spoken, she could only force out the words, "I'm sorry. Let's hurry and leave, or it will get dark soon, and then we won't be able to make it back to the city." Ye Chuan did not wish to waste time on these individuals. It would be more beneficial to hunt more boars to enhance his strength. "Return my azure edge blade." Lu Jinglong's eyes were bloodshot, as he glared venomously at Ye Chuan. Even a low-grade yellow-tier spirit weapon was extremely valuable to him. "Come and reclaim it yourself. I am ready whenever you are." Ye Chuan departed without a backward glance. Ye Chuan and his companion arrived at their destination, believing they had reached the location of the Blood Moon Python. Xia Nan consulted the map, confirming that they had indeed entered the territory of the Blood Moon Python. Ye Chuan gripped the azure edge blade tightly, and a prompt immediately sounded. "The exclusive boar-slaying blade has been selected. The god-slaying sharp blade is now active. Every boar slain by this blade will grant you 0.2 free attribute points." Ye Chuan could not help but feel a surge of joy. He had not expected this attribute to be upgradable. It seemed crucial to choose a good blade. "What do you have in your hand?" Ye Chuan's gaze shifted towards Xia Nan's hand. "A thunderfire orb." Xia Nan appeared eager and ready for action. Without proper defenses, even a Hall-entry realm cultivator would suffer severe injuries from an explosion caused by this item. "Should the Blood Moon Python appear later, hand it directly to me." As the two ventured deeper, the Blood Moon Python remained elusive. "Wait for me here. If the Blood Moon Python appears, immediately throw the Thunderfire Orb." Xia Nan nodded, her small face flushed crimson, clearly thrilled by the prospect of the Blood Crystal Flower's appearance. Wielding the Azure Peak blade, Ye Chuan successfully reached the cave on the rock face. Even as he approached the Blood Crystal Flower at the cave entrance, the surroundings remained silent, suggesting the Blood Moon Python was not nearby. It was a crimson flower, the color of congealed blood, shimmering with a translucent luster and emitting an alluring fragrance. Upon seeing this, Xia Nan could not help but exclaim in surprise. "This isn't an ordinary blood moon flower, it's a blood crystal twin flower. Common blood moon flowers merely slow down the aging process. However, the blood crystal twin flower grants eternal youth. It is said that only one blood crystal twin flower can emerge as a mutation among 100,000 blood moon flowers." Ye Chuan suddenly perceived a foul, fishy odor, and an inexplicable chill emanated from behind him. Turning to look, he saw a dark purple pig snake, flicking its forked tongue. A seemingly ordinary wildflower by the roadside turned out to be the legendary blood crystal flower, capable of granting eternal youth, guarded by the never-before-seen pig snake. A jolt of alarm ran through Ye Chuan's heart, and without the slightest hesitation, he turned and fled. He abruptly sprang over the precipice. Xianan, proving equally astute, unhesitatingly threw out the thunder flame pearl she held. One of thunder and one of fire, the two pearls flew directly towards the blood moon giant python. The two pearls collided violently, emitting a blinding flash as lightning arcs and fire interwove, instantly unleashing a surge of incredibly destructive energy that annihilated everything in their vicinity. Though the blood moon giant python's scales possessed formidable defensive capabilities, they proved insufficient against the thunder flame pearl. Its scales shattered into fragments, and blood gushed forth. Once the explosive energy subsided, the blood moon giant python, once dark purple, had turned to a charred black, emanating the distinct aroma of roasted meat. Unable to control its massive form, the blood moon giant python plummeted violently towards the base of the cliff. A deafening roar reverberated through the air. With the danger averted, Ye Chuan shook his head, stood, and presented the blood moon flower he held. Xianan's heart was filled with delight. She had truly never imagined acquiring the blood crystal twin flower, capable of preserving eternal youth. Her mother, upon learning this, would undoubtedly be overjoyed. Ye Chuan's gaze brightened instantly. As this blood crystal twin flower blossomed as a pair, he considered bringing one back home for his mother, Miao Jingzhu. After all, what woman would not desire to possess an ageless countenance? Ye Chuan, without hesitation, returned to the entrance of the blood moon giant python's cave. Witnessing this, Xianan's heart began to pound. She wondered if this fellow had finally come to his senses, intending to offer her the other bloom, and debated whether she should accept it. As Xianan was contemplating whether to accept it or not, Ye Chuan, without hesitation, stowed the blood crystal flower into his own backpack. The blood moon giant python emerged from the base of the cliff, its blood-red vertical pupils filled with rage, its towering body reaching 12 to 13 meters in height and exuding potent might. Astonishingly, the thunder flame pearl had failed to kill it. Xianan gasped in surprise, murmuring incredulously. This blood moon giant python, though perhaps not yet at the Dengtang realm, was undoubtedly approaching the pinnacle of the 9th rank apprentice stage. This monstrous serpent was still alive. Alarmed, Ye Chuan urgently inquired, "Do you have any more thunderflame pearls? My father had only provided me with that single pair for self-defense." Xianan shook her head in response. "The Blood Shadow Butcher." Ye Chuan did not hesitate and immediately used his skill. The powerful malevolence plunged the blood moon python into a state of fear. Seizing this opportunity, Ye Chuan quickly pulled Xianan and fled. "Why are you just standing there? Wasn't I waiting for you? After all, you risked your life to pick another one for me." Before Xianan could finish her sentence, she was ruthlessly interrupted by Ye Chuan. "You're overthinking it. That's for my mom." Xianan's mouth twitched uncontrollably, and veins bulged on her forehead. If looks could kill, Ye Chuan might already be dead at that moment. The blood moon python's furious roars echoed throughout the entire mountain forest. It opened its gaping maw and lunged to bite at Ye Chuan and the other person. Bringing this woman along is such a nuisance. If I were by myself, I might not be able to slay the blood moon python, but I could at least withdraw and retreat. It was too late. Sensing the increasingly pungent stench, Ye Chuan's gaze sharpened, and he abruptly swung his arm, throwing Xianan away. Xianan let out a gasp. The blood moon python, seizing the moment, closed its mouth, intending to swallow Ye Chuan whole. No matter the prey, the blood moon python was confident it could digest it with its incredibly potent stomach acid. It raised its neck high, continuously writhing its neck muscles, to push Ye Chuan deeper into its stomach. But at that very moment, a sharp long blade emerged directly from the blood moon python's neck. The azure edge blade swept forward, severing the blood moon python's entire head. Its massive beast eyes were filled with sudden realization. With a dull thud, the blood moon python's enormous head crashed heavily onto the ground, its life force extinguished. Ye Chuan, covered in grime, gasped for breath. The blood moon python had clearly underestimated the attack power of its prey. Wielding a spiritual weapon, and with the Bane of Swine tribe skill providing 450% additional damage, his entry into the Blood Moon Python's body was like Sun Wukong entering Princess Iron Fan's belly. He could do whatever he pleased. You scared me to death. Xia Nanan's eyes reddened, and she instantly rushed over, hugged Ye Chuan tightly, and wailed loudly. Why did you take such a risk? You were almost excreted as waste by the Blood Moon Python. Congratulations to Ye Chuan, the pig butcher, for slaying a special pig with his pig slaughtering knife. Level increased by 60%. The additional damage of the Bane of Swine skill increased by 1%. After defeating the Blood Moon giant python, Ye Chuan's cultivation immediately broke through, and his Bane of Swine skill advanced to the 8th rank apprentice level. Let us return. Time is pressing, or we shall have to spend the night in the wilderness. Xia Nan nodded obediently. They returned to Qingqing before the sun had fully set. As the two walked through the city gates, a large group of elaborately dressed and anxious Xia family members quickly surrounded them. My dear young lady, where have you been? The patriarch is almost frantic with worry. I found this, mother will certainly be very happy. Xia Nan cheerfully produced the blood crystal flower. If you desired it, young lady, you could have simply sent a servant to retrieve it. Why risk yourself? Xia Nan lowered her head, feeling a touch of shame. She knew that leaving the city to search for the blood moon flower was a foolish act. Had Ye Chuan not appeared by chance, she would likely have already met a dire fate within a goblin's lair. This is Ye Chuan, my savior, through whom I was able to return safely. Ye Chuan is very formidable. Many thanks, Student Yi. What is Student Ye's profession, if I may ask? Uncle Zhao inquired amiably. Uncle Zhao paused, his expression growing considerably colder. He removed the gold ring from his hand and offered it. Student Yi is indeed quite accomplished for his young age. This ring is worth 200,000, consider it a token of our gratitude for saving our young lady. Ye Chuan blocked Uncle Zhao's hand,